everybody, welcome back to The Hobby Musician. Today I want to show you a couple tips and tricks on how you can do localized, very small area spot repairs on a paint job that you might be doing on a project that you're working on. Now, we're not talking about a start to finish tutorial on how to do the whole paint job. No, we've got videos that cover that, so definitely subscribe to the channel and check out our main page. I've got all sorts of playlists where we do that. No, I'm talking about a situation where the rest of the paint job is kind of going well and everything's going according to plan, but then maybe in one or two places there may have been a little accident, or in all likelihood, if you do it outside like I do in most of my videos, maybe like a bug comes down and lands on the body while it's still wet and gets stuck in the paint, and then you have to kind of get it out and it messes up just one area. Now, another thing that can happen, and what happened in my case, is that after I did the paint job, everything went well. There were no bugs, anything like that. I went to hang this up in the basement after most of the fumes had gone, and then when I came back the next morning, it had actually slipped off of the wooden beam that I had hung it on, and right here on the bottom, it actually hit the ground, and I have kind of like a concrete or stone basement, and the nice smooth paint job got all dinged up from the cement. So here's one little area that I want to go back and fix when the rest of the area was pretty decent. One other thing, while I'm at it, there was one curve of this guitar body that was sort of a little rougher than the others. So since we're already going to be doing one spot, I figured I'm just going to do two spots here. Now, the current project that I'm working on is this kind of Fender Jazzmaster style guitar kit from our friends over at Pango Music. And if you want to check out any of their kits or instruments, we've got a channel-specific link for them right below the video. And if you click into that, it'll take you to their site. You can check out all the kits that they have to find that perfect instrument that speaks to you. And currently, as of the filming of this video, we still have a limited number of discount codes left. So if you find the kit that's perfect for you, make sure to put in the code Jeremy10 at checkout. That's all one word, Jeremy10, and they'll throw in a bonus 10% off your entire purchase. Okay, so what are the steps when it comes to doing a spot fix? Well, honestly, it's just sanding, masking off that area, and then repainting it. So my tips for the sanding part is this: try to figure out what the absolute finest grit you can get away with is going to be. This is what I mean. When you're prepping a body and it's bare wood, you might go through the grits, 220, then a little finer, 320, 400, that kind of thing. But after you have a paint coat on here, you want to get the highest grit, the finest sandpaper you can. So I brought up like a strip of 400 and even 800, because the goal is you do need to sand it back until you get a smooth surface, so all these dings kind of get back flush, but you don't want to go any more than you have to. So just to kind of demonstrate this, actually I'm going to get the camera switched up around and kind of get a close-up of this, but we'll talk through kind of my approach to this on this one area and then the other curve. And then we're just going to head outside and kind of recoat it with the same process that we did. So hang tight while I get the camera switched up and we'll get to work. Okay, everybody, we're all set up here, ready to kind of get to work. And I've flipped this over so that the area that I'm working at is this kind of edge right here. It's sort of closer to the back edge. So I flipped it on its front so that I can actually get a better access to this. And what I want to do is, as I mentioned before, I want to use just a progression through the grits. And I think I could try to see what it starts looking like if I start with something like 400 grit. So it's always hard to know exactly what to do. A lot of times I'll use these like old school pink erasers as a sanding block. Like you can wrap your sandpaper in it and it can give you a flat surface, but it's still a little bit pliable. So it can be a good sanding block, but sometimes if it's so small, I want to just keep the sandpaper away from everything else. So I'm just going to put my finger in here and maybe just get kind of an edge of the sandpaper. And I want to just try to give a couple passes here to see what it's like if I just give it a little rubbing here. to start the process. Now already, I mean, I can see it, and if it's zoomed in close enough, maybe it'll come across on camera. It starts to take, I mean, you can see that the shine from the lights really does start to change around the area that you're sanding, and that's to be expected. You know, you're changing the surface kind of, I guess, smoothness, and that's going to change how light reflects. But I can see here, so I'm just going to focus on this one for a second. So I'm just kind of doing this a little bit at a time, and then I'm rubbing it off so that I can look at it and see it. And yes, in fact, I can see that I'm going to have to work on this for a while, because we're already, just that little bit, we're already through this first layer of paint. And I can start to see the wood coming back, but that also tells me that this ding, when it hit the ground, it actually did kind of chew up the wood a little bit. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm probably going to need to take this paint back to the wood all the way, kind of, the damage kind of extends about a couple inches here, maybe 2.5 inches. So I'm going to keep working this slowly back to the wood. And then once I'm there, keep brushing it away. And also always make sure to kind of every once in a while wipe off your sandpaper to kind of unload any of the flecks that get in there. It just keeps your sandpaper kind of working well a little longer. But this is the process. And I don't want to bore you to watch this whole thing, but you can already see I'm back down to the wood, the bare wood, just at the edge here. And I'm gonna have to keep on working on this until pretty much I've got a nice flat surface ground through and smoothed up all of these dings. And then that's where I'm going to come back and masking tape around this, cover everything else, and then be able to repaint this. So that's kind of the process. And as I said before, this is going to take me a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of cut the camera now, finish this, and then I'm going to do the same thing. This same process we're talking about, I'm going to apply to this curve up here on the top of the guitar, and then those are going to be the two spots that we're going to head outside and repaint those in just a sec. So, all right, for me, it'll be, I don't know, 10, 15 more minutes, but for you, we're going to wipe this, and I'll see you outside. Okay, everybody, we're all set up outside, and as predicted, I did spend about 10 or 15 more minutes just working on those two areas that we were talking about. And after that, like I said, the best way to kind of then reapply the paint is to mask off, or actually cover up, every other part of the body except the ones that we need to reapply. So if you can see over here, there is just this little bit exposed. This is the bottom, the kind of dinged up spot on the bottom, and it's completely covered in tape except for maybe about a 1/2 inch wide and about 3 inches long. Now what I discovered on the side portion, that kind of rough area, as I was working on it, I actually found that roughness sort of extended. So I only really sanded from about here to here, but I did leave myself a little bit extra on either end to sort of better help kind of blend the paint in. And then as I was doing those two, I realized that the fall not only dinged up the bottom, but it actually hit, there's one spot right up here on the back that's just a 1/2 inch square window that I've left open. Everything else, I've got masking tape and newspaper covering the entire body. And you can see here, I just have it propped up. Now the good news for our project is that everything is on an edge, so I can let it rest. I've just got a bucket under here. I can let it rest here and then do my painting and not have to disturb it and let it dry. In order to do the painting, so I just went and got the same color that we had applied to the whole body. And just like normal paint jobs, we're not going to do anything different just because we're retouching this. We are going to go with extremely light coats, just a few sprays, and let that dry for about 10 minutes and come back and do another coat, and then 10 more minutes and do that. It's much easier to get a nice finish if you do multiple thin coats rather than try to really lay on a heavy, thick coat at once. So I was shaking this up before we started filming so you didn't have to listen too much to the rattling. But this is what we're going to do. I'm just going to kind of take you through and show you just how light and delicate some of these coats are. The key to painting is always keep your can moving. Never stop in one spot. Always have kind of a back and forth motion. So For us, we'll just go ahead and get started here. Just like that, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. That is an incredibly light coat, and I'm good with that for now. Pardon me, I'm gonna have to kind of go in front here, but and right there. It's not even like I can even see some of the areas where it went back to bare wood. I can just barely see the wood under there, but that's okay because I'm gonna come back and apply 3-4 more coats, and eventually that's gonna build up into a nice coat. And then I'm gonna get this over here. This is our last little 1/2-inch area up here on the top. There we go, that's good for a first coat. And you can already see, that's all that it takes when it comes to kind of reapplying and recovering just individual areas. We said at the top of the video, if a bug lands in it or if a ding or something happens, this is an easy method that you can rescue a paint job without having to sand everything off and restart the whole thing. So once this dries, all we're gonna come back and do is I'm just gonna take it on to the next step of the process. Like I said before, there's an easy method to this. Once I have my color coat, the next step is my clear lacquer coat that I'm gonna put over top. So when this dries, I'm gonna take off all of the mask, all of the newspaper, and then I'm gonna go over the whole thing just with one kind of light pass with maybe 800 grit to make everything end up being the same, and then it'll be ready for a clear lacquer coat. So, as always, I hope you got something out of this video, and until next time, play on, my friends, play on.